Please don't judge me for those of you that go on first appearances, because I'm quite certain that I'm not the only guy in Perry Township or Indianapolis, Indiana that is in need of a haircut. My name's Steve Minton, and I live in Perry Township. And I would humbly ask that you watch this video to the very end to see if I might possibly be deserving of your vote. Your vote for me to represent Perry Township as a delegate to the Indiana Republican Convention. So who am I? Well, my 17-year-old son usually thinks I'm an unreasonable idiot, and my 11-year-old daughter still delights in just about everything that I do. And I'll ride both of those waves as long as I possibly can. My children are my inspiration. They're the reason that I wake up each morning trying to figure out how to be a better man and not make the mistakes that I made yesterday. But even with that, I still mess up. Thank goodness for some forgiveness and grace. I struggle to find balance between raising kids and parenting and marriage and work and continuing to build my real estate practice as well as my goals and hopes and dreams. And recently with COVID-19 and most recently the racial tensions, it's made those things even harder. I grew up at Raymond and State Street near Garfield Park, attended Manual High School, and went to University of Indianapolis. I realized a long time ago that the amount of time that it takes to protect a real estate client's interests and finances will never allow me to be the #1 agent. But I've made the choice to do less business so that I have the time to truly protect the best interests and the finances of my clients. I figure that if I do the right thing, then God's going to bring the right people into my life. And I found that when you do that, my family's needs will be more than taken care of. My second child, she was born in 2008, and when home sales slowed down, I was fortunate enough to get a third shift job working on an open air loading dock. Now what an open air loading dock is it's just that, it's open. You're not inside or anything. If it's 16 degrees outside, it's 16 degrees inside. And I'd work from 10 at night to 8 in the morning. I did that for 6 months through the dead of winter. I worked side by side with people that had tattoos on their neck and face, and where being in and out of the joint on a weekly basis, that was the norm for them. And the coolest thing about it is I really got to know my coworkers, from top level gang members to Hurricane Katrina refugees to guys that would drive from Dayton, Ohio every day to the west side of Indianapolis just because that was the only job they had. I learned a lot about others, and I learned a lot about myself. Wouldn't want to do it again, but it was good. Life has humbled us, it's toughened us, and it's given me a whole lot more empathy for my neighbors and my fellow man. I've been approached more than once to serve in politics, but between it just not feeling like the right time and coming from a family that said stay out of politics, I just didn't really know what to do about it. But now I've been asked to run as a delegate for the Republican Convention. And it's like I've come to a place where I actually feel like I could do some good. Like I'm in it for the right reasons. Don't have an agenda. We've lived so far below our means that I don't think I could ever be bought. Then I know we're just talking about a delegate here. I don't know. Somebody gave me the advice, don't do too good of a job because they'll ask you to step up to another level. And that's a little frightening, just is. I simply want a good home, township, city, state for my children. And I can't imagine that what's best for your children and your families is really any different than mine. So that's my drive. One of the things my real estate practice has prepared me for regarding an elected office is most of the time I don't have all the answers. There's always something new coming up, and I have to get really, really good at knowing where to get the answer and having a multiple step process to make sure that the answer that I'm holding is true. You know, I figure I'm reaching out to 3 or 4 people and I'm looking for the same story for verification to make sure that I walk away really confident that I'm hanging on to the truth. And I think that that's a good skill to bring to any elected position. Interestingly enough, just for a quick example that's kind of funny, one of the things that a delegate does is we vote on who we think should be the Republican candidate for Indiana Attorney General. Well, now that I'm on the ballot, my phone has been blowing up for weeks and weeks and weeks from the staffers and the candidates themselves. And first couple conversations were just funny. They talk and tell me where they're at, what they stand for and everything, and then they go for that sales close and say, so can we count on your vote? And I say, you know, at this point, and my answer's been a couple different things, which has been funny. My first one was like, not at this time, you can't. And they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, I'm brand new. I'm still learning. I don't really know what everything the Attorney General does. I don't know what's important to me. I don't yet know what's important to my neighbors. And once I figure out what you stand for, what all the other candidates stand for, and what I need to be focused on, and what's important to my neighbors, then and only then will I be able to tell you that whether you have my vote or not. Moving forward, I think technology is really going to be able to make public service so much more efficient. I can see Zoom calls. I can see, town halls that don't include CNN or NBC or anything like that. We can all do that from our homes, on our computers, and we can really have an open exchange of dialogue to where us, the voters, because I'm a voter too, should be able to communicate with the public servants that we elect so that there is no question in their mind as to how we feel. If I'm ever in a position to where I really need to have my finger on the pulse of the feedback of the people, that's exactly how I'm gonna do it. We'll get together a couple times a week and we'll talk. But if I hold an elected position, they would never be, with technology, there's never any reason, never any good reason for me to ever be out of touch with the people. It's a new day, it's a new time. I think it's time for a lot of house cleaning. And I just might be grit-filled and tenacious enough to be able to endure the opposition when I encounter it. It would really be my privilege, and I would really be grateful and humbled to have your vote as a Perry Township delegate to the Republican State Convention. Thank you guys very much.